Hi, welcome back to Academic Market Insights. I am Dr. Russell Rhodes, joined by Dr. Larissa Adamiec. I don't know which side she shows up on the video, so I'll just point both ways. We're going to talk a little bit about stress testing. She's going to run through how to do kind of a basic stress test. This is something that firms had been doing internally for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that she's going to refer to the way a firm was doing this many years ago. After the financial crisis, banks actually have to go through this exercise in conjunction with some regulators from the Fed on I think an annual basis, and the parameters change a bit. But I think seeing what she's going to go through with Excel will give you a good idea at a very high level as to what is involved in a stress test. So, Dr. Ademiak, take it away, and just I know we're just doing the math part, but at a very high level, stress test. What are we trying to figure out with a stress test?
We're trying to figure out one-day losses
Okay.
or losses over a period. It's different than a value at risk calculation because value at risk just looks at what is it? The one-day loss. But we're going to look for, and what we'll do today is we're going to look at historical stress
Okay.
testing. So we get to pick out the day.
Okay.
That's I'm going to put on you. You get to, when we're doing it, the math of it, there's going to be a couple of days that we get to pick from.
Ooh.
So,
I wish I
but
had known
it,
that ahead of time. So
no, well, but it's part of the fun.
I got you.
And when I was a graduate student, I took a class and got to take the class from the gentleman who set up the system for whole trading.
Okay.
Um, and one of the comments that he had made, and I thought this was really interesting, is that he used 9/11 as a historical stress test.
Mhm.
Well, we all know that assets behave differently. So we're going to do some calculate some betas today.
Mhm.
And so this video will be a little bit longer because there's more calculations involved. But bonds during 9/11 actually did very well.
Yep.
So, and it's one of those you can look at it as there's lots of different, this is part of the art, right? You can
Mhm.
say everybody's going to have a 30% loss. What does that look like for different things?
Right.
Um, and you're going to see the assets that we're going to have in question now. We're going to use the SPX as our base, and we're going to run regressions to calculate a beta for each one of the three assets we're going to look at. We're going to have an equally weighted portfolio. We're going to pick the day that we're going to simulate, and we're going to calculate a one-day loss, or no, monthly loss, because we're looking at monthly data.
This sounds like a final exam question.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
It does. So let's get started.
Okay.
I'm excited. And I would like to thank Dr. Rowe for the data. You should recognize this data. We're going to do this a little bit quickly. So first thing we need to do is calculate returns so that we can run our regressions. Okay.
Are you going to delete the VIX? Or are you going to use it?
No, that's one of our asset classes.
Ooh, awesome.
Oh, yeah. Um, And I'm so glad you brought that up. One
Mhm.
of the reasons why we want to keep the VIX in there is because it's dramatic.
Yeah,
It makes this a much more interesting portfolio than if we're comparing the SPX to
I gotcha.
NASDAQ. You can
And I
imagine.
Yeah, and I have to point out that because you can't directly own VIX, that there's a little bit of an academic exercise in here. But I know what all the VIXophiles would be saying upon watching this, but we are aware that VIX has that inverse relationship and it's not investable. But it's going to be great to use for this exercise, really, just because it moves in the opposite direction of the indexes on the big days.
Mhm. So let's go ahead and I'm going to copy paste special values. Great. And I'm going to just grab dates. And I'm going to call this NDX R for regression. So I'm going to put a regression on each of for our three of us.
Ah,
Very simple. It's easier for me to see data analysis, regression. And remember, we're going to say our Y is our dependent variable and our X is our independent variable. So as the independent variable, that will be the SPX, and the Y will be our NDX. So we'll do this.
is it okay that you included the label?
Yep, I'm so glad you asked because there's a
Oh,
little button here. I'll show you in just a second once we get this up here. And it says labels.
ah, I've never done it that way before.
Forget to do it that way. And then when I do it that way, I'm always like, oh, that's nice.
I know there's
But
some advantages to doing it that way.
we're,
When
we're
you're
gonna,
creating graphics, etc. And I did want to say something else. You can continue what you're doing. I did want to say something about that function right there. That's an Excel add-in. You might not see data analysis unless you've added it. So if somebody's trying to work along with Excel and they're like, well, I'm stuck, I can't, you actually need to add data analysis. I think you go into the home and the settings or something along those lines. But if you're watching and the data analysis part isn't showing up, you don't have the opportunity to run regressions, etc. Check your settings and then come back to us.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna do, let's put paste special. Oh, because I moved things around. So we're gonna come back,
Mhm.
SPX, paste special, values. And while Dr. Rowe was speaking, I just included the beta into the first worksheet. And paste special, values. Go ahead, calculate. We don't technically need the dates. They just look nicer.
It helps you keep it straight as well.
You do.
It, it, it does. Make sure you're not off one number, etc. So
Okay, so remember what we said. Um, D, the RTY is dependent. So data analysis, regression. So you're going to have to redo this. So dependent is our SPX, or independent, pardon me, SPX.
yeah, we're solving for Russell.
Yep, for the Russell.
Yeah. You say dependent, independent. I always say which one we're solving for because it's y equals mx plus b.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough different terminology to confuse students between the two of us.
We're going to say 1.12. And now,
Isn't that funny? Because the Russell 2000 is considered very, very volatile. That has a lower beta.
this
Yeah.
is just how does it respond?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not necessarily. Let's do a real quick equal variance. Just because you brought it up. So we've got,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Yeah, I guess
looks,
so. My bad. Huh.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's
Just
2008 in there, and NDX lost 80%. So.
okay, we're gonna move this sheet over. And again, you don't have to be so retentive as I am. I like it so that I can easily figure out what I'm doing later. So again, paste special values, SPX, and let's grab then the fix.
Ooh.
I know.
I know
It
what that number is. I did a video on it about a week and a half ago.
values. Did you run it beta compared to the SPX?
Nah, I ran a regression with the S&P 500. there were some questions as to the behavior in 2025 of VIX versus the S&P 500, and there were some unique aspects to it when you quantify everything. There's a bit there. We'll include a link to that video below.
Cool.
Talk about that a bit.
Oh, it looks like this is all set up for me.
Mhm.
Look at that. Negative 4.42.
Wow. What's the huh?
Okay. Isn't this
That's
interesting?
about right, isn't it? That's why everybody gets all excited about VIX when the S&P 500 is selling off right there.
So we're just creating an equally weighted portfolio. So the sums of these weights need to be 1. Now, let's do, so we've got our beta set up, we've got our these all set up, but we have to figure out what days we're going to look at. So now I'm going to just grab the SPX again, and I will go ahead and what is it? Recalculate the returns. But we're going to call this SPX loss. So we're going to calculate our returns. I know for some of my students, it's good to keep seeing this over and over again.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to say returns. Now we got to kind of figure out some boundaries, right?
Hmm.
Percentile include. So we're going to look at the returns. And because I've done this before, 01. We'll start with 01. And what this is going to do, so in the 1 percentile, and this is to some extent how you start to calculate the value at risk. When we're thinking about the stress test, though, what I did just to demonstrate for the students, and we'll do this quickly, if this value is less than D2, give me a 1, else give me a 0. Okay. And what we'll see equals sum. We have 66 days. And given that we have a 6,000 rows, that actually makes sense. It's
Yeah.
1%. We don't want to comb through 66 days worth. So we're going to change this and make it 0.001.
Ooh,
And
it should
now
be
we only have
6.
7 days. Yeah, it should be.
Only
Um,
7 days where the S&P 500 just dropped 7.43389% or more in a day.
yep,
That's what.
exactly. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
was just going to put words to that one.
So now what we could do, so we've got a couple choices here. Again, there's an art. And what I had my students do was just take this number and use it and apply it. And we can do that if you want. But I'm also kind of curious, what are those days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and this is going to be a weird exercise. And I'm sort of making this up as we go.
Oh, we want to find those big days. Look, they're all
Yeah.
clumped together over there.
I mean, we shouldn't be that surprised that they're clumped together, right? So we're going to
Yeah,
grab this. But because we made it 0 or 1, it's a little bit easier to see.
absolutely. That's fantastic. I love how you did that.
So this is uh, the 99.9 percentile. Now let's move this. So again, we have a couple choices. We can use one of these days, or we can just simply use what we calculated. Paste. So we've got 10/9/08.
Makes sense.
12,108, 3,920.
3,920 was a tough day. That was actually the bottom before things started to take off.
So let's grab 3,920, right?
Yeah.
So that should be different than that 7%. 3, 9. Oops, let's scroll down. 3,920. We had oh, 7.
7.99%. And then 9.5. Oh, wow. 9.5. I guess I was off by the days a little bit there. Um, but
So
I knew
let's,
we
ooh,
bottomed out in March 2020.
316, 316.
Oh, my goodness gracious. They're
So
clumping
let's,
together there, aren't they? That's, right here, just to totally deviate into volatility for a second, this is why the implied volatility of options goes up so much when you have a big sell off.
mm,
Because look at 3.9. You got that 7.5% sell off, and it's followed often. It's either followed by a follow through to the other side or a rebound. And you can say we rebounded, sold off, sold off, sold off, rebound, and we were up 9.28% on the 13th, and then down 11% again on the 16th. That's the kind of behavior you get around market tops and market bottoms as well.
so we're going to use this date because,
Yeah.
woohoo!
Yeah.
We're going to use over here, I'm going to put it in here, paste special value. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to do a weighted return of our portfolio. Okay.
Mhm.
So we could do this in 2 steps or 1 step. I think I'm going to do it in 2 steps because it'll make it a smaller function within Excel. Okay. So this is portfolio beta, which is then a weighted average of our betas. So our portfolio beta, negative 0.73.
Wow.
That's because the VIX is so large.
Yeah.
And looking at it equally weighted, as you pointed out, nobody can directly trade the VIX. And even if you could, most likely you're not going to have it is a third of your portfolio.
No. No.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, take our 1 day return and multiply it by our beta. And because of that VIX, because
That'd be a positive number.
we're going to have a positive number of
Yeah.
0.0875.
We
Um,
have passed our stress test.
we have passed our stress test. But again, and this is a kind of a silly example, and it's one of the reasons why I like it is because it almost makes it look like the stress test isn't working. And it's realistically because of this asset here.
Hmm.
And so that's the basics for developing some of the stress test. We can take some really bad days. And remember at the beginning of the video, we talked about 9/11 and that being a
Hmm.
great day for bonds. So somebody might want to go through this and redo the portfolio and really think about, okay, so if I'm going to have this much of an exposure to VIX, we should pick a different day that's going to demonstrate when VIX goes down.
Hmm.
So again, there's different ways you can also create your own. You don't have to use a historical. You can say, okay, let's say the VIX gets pummeled and the market gets pummeled, which can't happen,
Hmm.
but let's say it does, then we would look at the portfolio. So there's lots of different ways, and this is what makes the job exciting and fun.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell right now I'm already geeking out just thinking about it. With that, we thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much.